God bless Ryan Long. The Canadian comic moved to New York a few years ago, and he's been telling the jokes you're not supposed to tell ever since. Now, he's neither right nor left, not conservative, not liberal. He stays above the partisan bickering. And by doing that, he can just follow the funny wherever it goes. That's why he's one of the strongest comics against the woke mindset. He pounces and seizes on woke stuff all the time. And if you're not listening to his Boys Cast, well, you should fix that ASAP. It's a really good show. Now, Ryan's also a content machine. I mean, he's hitting the road all the time. He's actually coming to right here in Denver in a few weeks. But he also cranks out a lot of sketch videos for his YouTube channel and other content. Now, the following routine I'm going to play is from his podcast, though, so it's basically audio only, which makes us a perfect fit here. And it was so good, so on target, I wasn't sure where to cut the clip exactly. So I did some minor snipping away just to make it a little bit tighter, but it's essentially the whole sketch. Now, if you're as fed up with our corrupt press as I am, I think you're going to absolutely love this. Check it out.
The media has recently spoken out about X and social media, saying that misinformation and lies are being spread all over the internet, with the CEO of the media releasing a statement saying that they are, quote, not happy to see people going over to X to get their lies when we have perfectly good lies over here. I know the lies on the internet are the new shiny thing and may look appealing, but there is no reason for people to look elsewhere when our lies are safe, consistent, grade A, socially acceptable, vetted lies. And you don't have to worry about what's in them.
Hey, if you want to take a chance with some off-brand knockoff lies, just know you are doing so at your own peril. But don't actually, though, please. I'm telling you, we're a solid provider, and you don't need to go shopping around.
When asked to comment on the trust in media being at record lows, the head of media said, data has shown our trust is higher than ever. See how I did that with a straight face? That's the kind of stuff you get over here with us. Believable. In fact, some of our news has been referred to as can't believe it's not true. Professional, homegrown American lies from a guy in a suit, not some bozo with a smartphone who, heaven forbid, might even be Russian.
Twitter user Pureblood Patriot 5 has accused the media of foul play as three men in suits showed up to his basement and demanded 20% of all revenue earned through published materials that turned out years later to be false, saying they told him, quote, if you want to tell lies on our turf, that's fine, but you got to pay the vig. No free lunches out here, capiche? And it would be a shame if he had to get put on a hate list that had him demonetized. They then proceeded to spit on his computer and strongly encouraged him to play ball while tapping a photo of Jonathan Greenblatt.
Perfect. It's just perfect. And by the way, Jonathan Greenblatt is the head of the Anti-Defamation League. And he brings that name up because, you know, the media, if they don't like you, you're a sexist, a bigot, a racist, an anti-Semite. That's just the game plan. Now, you could argue that Long maybe went too far here. The media isn't that bad. It isn't that corrupt, is it? Or you could read some of John Nolte's work at Breitbart News. He tracks fake news as aggressively as possible. And he has this running bit where he repeats some of the, let's just say, the greatest hits of fake news. And just know what I'm about to read is the tip of the corruption iceberg. Trust me. Russian collusion hoax. Hands up, don't shoot hoax. Jussie Smollett hoax. The Covington Kids hoax. Very fine people hoax. The Russian bounties hoax. Trump trashes troops hoax. Border agents whipping illegals hoax. NASCAR news hoax. The Georgia Jim Crow 2.0 hoax. MAGA assaulted Paul Pelosi hoax. Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation hoax. And Joe Biden will never ban gas stoves hoax. Again, a very, very partial list. And it's brutal. It's enough to make any satirist say, my gosh, I've got to make fun of these media clowns. And quick. And that's exactly what Ryan Long does. He did it this time. He'll do it again. I guarantee it. Now, where are the other comedians? Well, they're too busy chumming up with Dr. Fauci and his latest spin. But let's give Bill Maher some credit here because he is one of the very few comedians who will do a little bit, at least, of what Ryan Long does on a pretty regular basis. Maher recently slammed the media as being literally pro-Hamas. Again, if it sounds outrageous, you haven't been reading the headlines, you haven't seen the bias. It is extreme, it is ugly, and it is unconscionable. In this clip from Real Time with Bill Maher, he's talking with a New York Times columnist, and they're discussing an open letter that was signed by hundreds of journalists. They were demanding the old gray lady, yes, the New York Times, slant its coverage to be more Hamas-friendly. Yeah, even more.
But then in the substance of the letter, it then goes on to, and what bothers me is they use the Times's slogan, without fear or favor, but they go on to list a bunch of things that they would like the media to do to reframe the conversation, which is essentially in a more pro-Hamas direction.
I couldn't be more pro-Hamas than it is now. They're saying they want the newsrooms to adopt words such as apartheid. I hear it all the time anyway. It's wrong, and I hear it. Genocide. Again, wrong. Israel not trying to commit genocide. The other side blatantly saying we would love to commit genocide on you.
It's worth noting that Maher isn't cracking wise here. He's not really trying to be funny. He's being a pundit. But maybe you could defend what he's doing, because media corruption is getting to a point now where there's nothing really funny to say about it. It's dark. It's disturbing. It's really hurting the country. And if that's the case, and I think it is, I think Ryan Long has got his work cut out for him next time. Jon Stewart left The Daily Show a while ago, but he left behind a powerful template for today's comics. Call it Mockery 101. Now, listen, comedians on late-night TV shows have been mocking politicians for decades. It's a great institution. But what his Daily Show did was something a little bit more investigative in a sense. It wasn't just a wisecrack or a one-liner. They would assemble a whole bunch of sound bites that would shame politicians for being, well, politicians. What a great way to speak truth to power. Remember that phrase? It seems to have gone out of favor. This came to mind recently while I was listening to the Derek Hunter podcast. Now, if you don't know Derek, he is as smart as he is cynical. And he was playing some sound bites from a recent Senate hearing that involved one of President Biden's judicial picks, a fellow named Edward Sunyul Keel. The Republican Josh Hawley was there to grill Keel. That's just what they do on the Hill. But he picked a subject I felt initially as a little bit of a gotcha question. Hawley brought up the judge's ties to a group called the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Now, I don't know this group at all, but I was reading a little bit about them, and they are pretty darn radical, at least when you think about their stance on Israel. It is extreme. But, this is politics, is what happens when you have a judge on the Hill getting questions from the opposing party. So Hawley threw out a softball at Keel. I mean, I thought it was a softball. It seemed like a softball. I've seen baseball. It looked like that same arc heading right at the judge. But Keel couldn't take his bat off his shoulders. Just listen.
Put it to you this way. Would you condemn those who are calling for, who say things like from the river to the sea, which is a call for the elimination of the state of Israel and frankly, the killing of Jews in the Middle East? I mean, would you condemn that?
Senator, as I said, I know it's a very complicated situation. It's a tragic situation. I haven't studied the situation. I don't know how I can answer that today, Senator. Because
go ahead.
As a judge, and the role that I would be playing, my personal views of things would not come into consideration, certainly, Senator. And I would keep an open mind for all matters that come before me. And that's the way that I would approach the job of a judge.
I totally understand that, and I'm not asking you to comment on any case. I just am trying to. I wanted to give you a chance to respond to this group statement, but let me just see if I can get you to understand your views here. Just with regard to the attacks on Israel and the violence in this country against Jewish Americans, you condemn all of that. You have no truck with that. You would say that we should condemn all of that explicitly, I assume, right? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I mean, you tell me.
Yes, Senator. Any violence here in this country against Jewish people should be condemned.
It took the judge forever to finally say he condemns terrorism. And what was so hard about that? All right, go ahead, ask me if I condemn murder. I'll give you a pretty quick answer. Yeah. How about the terrorist attacks of October 7th? Again, yeah, instantly, no thought, no problem. But not this judge. Why? Why did this trip him up? Now, if the parties were reversed here, I could absolutely see John Oliver on HBO, or even the new Daily Show, which is still looking for a permanent host, to skewer Keel and have a great time doing it. The jokes almost write themselves. Judge Keel, do you admit that pineapple is an affront to pizza lovers everywhere? Well, that's a very complicated situation. But that's why every late night show leans to the left these days, and why Colbert and Co. wouldn't touch or mock folks like Judge Keel. It would leave a mark. It may change some hearts and minds. It might put some pressure on the Democrats, and we cannot have that. Not in Hollywood. By the way, for the record, pineapple is an affront to pizza lovers everywhere. Alrighty, gang, that's another bonus episode in the books. No interview this time. I didn't have a guest, but just some stuff I really wanted to get off my chest, and I hope you enjoyed it. But before you hit that stop button and check out another podcast, because I know there's a lot of great stuff out there, I really hope you'll subscribe to the Hollywood in Toto podcast right now. And even better, tell a friend about us. Remember, it's the holidays. Santa's watching. And you'll be naughty if you don't spread the word about the Hitcast. See you next time.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.